And already welcome back to Katawa Shoujo. And yeah, we're continuing. I mean, what else could we do? Finally reaching the classroom after the usual walk from the dormitories, I step inside. My eyes immediately turn to the third seat from the left in the back row, Hanako's seat. It's empty, and after glancing around the classroom, it looks like she isn't here yet. The two girls from the newspaper club are here in the two seats to the left of Hanako's, as are Shizune and Misha. That's about it. We exchange morning greetings before I take my seat. I have to admit that this is a bit of a relief. This gives me at least a few more minutes to think. Not that I haven't been doing so previously. Ever since our trip to town, Hanako's been on my mind. I still don't know what to make of my relationship to Hanako. I like her. Can admit that much to myself. I want to protect and shield her from the pain she feels. I really don't think my feelings are just those of friendship anymore. Oh, really? But that said, I feel like I don't even know her. If I made a move on her, how would she take it? Is she in an emotional state that allows her to make a reasonable decision about a relationship? Or would she cope with anything that might happen afterwards? There's also the possibility that I'm just completely misinterpreting Hanako. Not a difficult thing to do with someone's coming. Difficult thing to do with someone whose social skills seem to be so underdeveloped. The sound of footsteps come up to the door, making me perk up. Oh, hi! It is rather interesting that we encounter her so often through this playthrough. I mean, she was really great help, wasn't she? She was really one of the decision makers within the game. It ends up just being Miki. It is the Miki! She barely acknowledges my existence when I accidentally make eye contact with her. I'm about to look away, but another person comes in, not long after she takes her seat. Hanako! I feel myself freeze as I see Hanako enter. This isn't a rational reaction, but I have no idea about how I should act or what I should say to her. For a moment, our eyes meet. And then, just as quickly, she looks away and moves to her seat without saying a single word. As is now usual for the period following classes, my face is buried deep in a book that I find thoroughly uninteresting. Studying is not something that comes naturally to me. I didn't study a lot before coming to Yamako, and until now I've largely managed to coast through on talent alone. It's frustrating that I can't do that anymore. Judging by the faces of the other few students in the library, I don't think I'm alone in my distaste for this. Misery loves company, I suppose. Yeah, misery loves company. Only need to click once, fool. I decided to spend lunchtime with Hanako, since we haven't had lunch together for a while now. I may as well have spent the time studying though, aside from pathetically small snippets of small talk. There was barely a word said between us. Why does she keep doing this to me? I just want to protect her, to be there for her, but every time I feel like we are coming closer, we end up further away. Are you busy? Hanako! My head whips around in surprise, causing her to retreat in fright. That was bad timing. If I hadn't been thinking about her that very moment, I probably wouldn't have been nearly so startled. Sorry, you just startled me. I find myself staring at her longer than I should, so I go back to the text lying on the table in front of me. I feel more like I'm just staring at the words rather than actually reading. I get the feeling Hanako can notice this as well, so I sigh and close the book. What's up? I was just wondering what you were reading. She looks a little downcast after my reaction to seeing her. Giving up on the prospect of getting any more work done, I get up and return the book to its place on a nearby shelf. Just an English textbook. Has it helped? It helped me realize that I don't like English, yeah. Hanako gives a small giggle. Wait, what? You don't like English? English is an awesome language. It's the so-called world language, and that is one of the reasons I like it so much. And it's even sometimes easier than my own native language. It almost is natural for me to talk in English, and I'm really glad about it. The only things I get really frustrated about is when I just can't make up the word in my mind I want to say, and then I have to go back into my German to think of the word I need to know, and then I have to look it up, and all this process is very frustrating to me. I really would like to be a totally fluently English speaker. I want it to be a second nature. That's one of the only things I love to do. Hanako gives a small giggle. I'm amused on the strange state of our friendship, but I do know that such little gestures are things what I wouldn't see were I not at least some distance closer to her than when we first met. Look at her for a moment. I look at her for a moment, thinking about what I do and don't know about her. It's a slight depressing topic. Is something wrong? If I want to know more about her, maybe I should stop being so evasive about it. Talking with Lily as an equal rather than being constantly in fear of causing her to become upset worked fine, so I should just try to straightforward approach with Hanako as well. Hey, Hanako, do you mind if I ask you a question? Oh, that's such a weird thing to say. I don't mind. I want to know what your life was like. Your life before coming to Yamako. She hesitates. I briefly consider backing off. She seems to be taking the question quite seriously. I sit and watch her silently, letting her take her time. She's not making eye contact with me, and looks almost as if she's arguing with herself into letting herself open up to me more. Her answer finally comes in a stiff, almost reluctant nod. She looks far more tense than she did before I'd asked. Okay, but in return, you have to tell me about your life as well. I nod and follow her as she begins to walk out the library so we can talk. By now, most of the students have already left the main building, so apart from a few people hovering around club rooms, the hallways are largely empty. I guess we'll start coming to Yamako? Let's see, I was in the hospital when my parents first told me about Yamako Academy. The doctors told me I shouldn't go to my old school anymore. My parents agreed and persuaded me to apply for Yamako, even though it would mean living away from them for the first time. It must have been hard for you. Well, yeah, I have to admit that it was. My parents both work long hours and full-time, so having to live reasonably independently wasn't anything new to me. It was the fact that I was going to a school for disabled students that hit hardest, I think. And you? A small group of chatting girls passes us as we near the stairs, with Hanako pressing herself tightly to my side until we reach the ground floor. She doesn't usually come this close while just walking in the school, so I'm left a little put off. The staff at the orphanage offered me some options on what I could do. Middle school hadn't been good, so I thought that Yamako might be better. it was isolated, and I thought it might be easier to get by here with most of the others being disabled. It's pretty ironic that the reasons Hanako looked forward to Yamako are the exact reasons I hated the idea. To me, it felt like I was being shunted somewhere away from society and everyone I knew. To Hanako, that was probably an inviting prospect. What was life like at the orphanage? It was okay. The staff there were nice, and they took care of us. Children there didn't talk to me much, but I didn't really want to talk with them either, so I didn't mind. The orphanage had a little library, so I started to read to pass the time. Staff didn't mind it, because it made me easier to handle than many of the other children. You didn't make any friends there? No, I think my life was on hold during that time. I knew that. I didn't mind. To think her life was on hold for all that time. Though, depending on when the fire happened, that was a huge chunk of her life. No parents, no friends, apparently no relatives. We walked through the door into the courtyard. I expect to need to avert my eyes from the sun, but by now it's well into sunset. Hanako's eyes keeps flicking to me, so I look away from her for a bit. What was it like in the hospital? I quickly clear my thoughts and try to refocus them. Sorry. I hesitate for a bit, but I know that I have to tell her. We are close enough for her to feel comfortable telling me this, so it's only fair that I reciprocate. Wow, I don't know what that means, but I can guess what it means. It was okay at times, but at others it was pretty bad. At the beginning everyone sent their sympathies and came to visit often. It was just like breaking an arm or something. Meeting all my friends was one of the good times. Hanako came in often as well, more often than anyone else. But there were bad times too. When my friends slowly stopped visiting, I began to realize how grave my situation was. It reminded me that this wasn't just a broken limb, but that I was now a different person than before. Even the times Hanako would spend with me became torturous. By the end, we were reduced to silence, whereas before she'd be talking constantly. That's how Hanako always was. She may have been a fragile person, but she would talk constantly to try and hide that fact. Not about anything in particular, just talk. I think the 3 lowest points would have been when my parents told me I wouldn't be going to my old school anymore, my birthday passing while in the hospital, and when Hanako left for the last time. We leave the school buildings behind us as we begin to follow the main path through the gardens. There may have been the odd bystander in the school buildings, but outside we are practically alone. What was your middle school like? I liked it. I grew up in a really metropolitan area, and the middle school was nearby, so it was pretty crowded. I didn't mind it, probably because I'm used to being in crowds and around lots of other people. I got good grades and I played soccer with my friends. I spent a fair bit of time hanging out with them after school as well. Did get teased a bit over my hair though. Your hair? I grimace a little as I put a hand over my hair to cover it. I keep getting tufts and strands that refuse to flatten or stay where I wanted them, and my mother wouldn't let me just get my hair shaved. It had a habit of popping out no matter how much I tried to brush it down. I mean, my hair's popping out and I don't even have anything in it, and that's pretty weird. I mean, it's washed and all, but I don't know. But I like it, honestly. Maybe I should cut it short again, I don't know. But it's good now, but I think I have to go soon to the how is it called? To the hairdresser. Yeah, that's it. How much are you? It still does a little. I was worried I'd get that reply. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I give a mild laugh and wave it off. It's fine, I know it still does. It feels strange to have someone act so interested in my past. If it were anyone else, I'd think they were just acting polite. That's something I really don't think Hanako would do. Or if she did, she'd do it so badly that it would be obvious. There are a number of girls in the common room in the ground floor, and Hanako presses herself to my side once more as we pass them. I expect her to break off, but instead she continues to cling on to me as we walk towards the stairway. Something about the way she's holding on to me feels different from the usual. I'm left deep in thought as we walk up the stairs and down the hallway. It's only we stop that I look up and realize that I've been following her without question. Why did we come to your dormitory room? She looks straight at the door without so much as a glance in my direction. Hanako? She moves to answer, but stops herself. Instead, she silently breaks from my side, opens her door, and steps inside. Oh god, I'm getting nervous now. Look up and down the hallway, a bit lost as to exactly what I should do. Shrugging, I decided to follow her, since I don't have any reason to do otherwise. Hanako stands in the middle of her room and looks straight at me. It's unnerving when she does this, as it's such an unusual action for her. I open my mouth to speak, but she preempts me. Could you close and lock the door? What? Hanako's hand reaches for her chest, grabbing her blouse at her heart. I turn and lock the door. Shut, then freeze. The atmosphere is beginning to feel quite strange. This feeling is only made more profound when I hear the curtains being pulled behind me. It's going to be night soon. We are a guy and a girl in a bedroom. She is closing the curtains, and I'm shutting and locking the door. She really have that in mind? She can't really have that in mind. Can she? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I know this game has the potential to it, but she's a whole different caliber than Amy ever was. So I gulp and turn around very, very slowly. Hanako's in the center of the room, but hasn't turned back to face me. You told me about your past, so I have to tell you mine. She takes a deep, shuddering breath and pauses for a number of seconds. Her hands move to her ribbon and begin to tug, all but confirming my thoughts. Hanako? Alright, I have to prematurely end this episode here, because in the next episode, there is... yeah, it got me an opportunity to educate you again on certain topics, so stay excited for that one, and I hope I will see you then next time. Stay tuned.